That's a tough.
Mr. Carney, there's a genocide happening in Calgary.
Thank you. Thank you, Diana. I'm aware, which is why we have an arms embargo.
You're not a human. You're a vampire like them. Shut up. Shut up. You're a genocide. You're a genocide. Liberation. Down with occupation. Down with occupation.
Why are you voting for Mark Carney?
Why not?
Yeah, we need more adults to lead this country.
Does that discount the Liberal leadership? Because right now we do have a Liberal government. Mark Carney, why should Canadians trust that you don't have any financial conflicts? Do you think that there's anything fishy about his finances?
Maybe that is a priority for somebody else, but for us, that is not a priority.
Prefabricated and modular housing are the future.
And now we're going to follow that model, and it's going to work. And it's going to work for Alberta. It's going to put everyone to work. And Poilievre has no idea.
I think if you get somebody that's coming from that isn't so popular in Alberta, it's actually a good thing.
Going to a central banker for political advice is never a good idea.
Come on.
Sydney Fizzard for Rebel News here in Calgary, Alberta. And right now we are going through a federal election. On one hand, you've got Pierre Poilievre in the Conservative Party, who last night in Edmonton had a rally with upwards of 15,000 people. And today we are at Mark Carney's event in Calgary. People have actually shown up. We are going to go talk to these people, find out what they think about a Carney Liberal government.
I'm connected. I can deliver for the country. And my weakness is, people will charge me as being elitist or, a globalist, to use that term, which is, that's exactly, it happens to be exactly what we need.
Why are you voting for Mark Carney?
Why not?
I love Mark Carney. Yeah, he just seems so responsible and just like such a, we need more adults to lead this country, and I'm just here for the vibes. Like, I'm a super fan of like Mark Carney pretty much. Like, yeah.
Does that discount the Liberal leadership? Because right now we do have a Liberal government.
He's the right guy with the right education, the right experience, and lots of connections throughout the world to do the better job of managing our country in the next few years with Trump in the South here.
His ability to clearly state the things that he believes we should be doing as a country, and I believe in that. I'd choose that over rage politics anytime.
He held off the 2008 financial crash, and I think due to his experience, I think he'd be the best candidate for the job.
I am the only person who can say that both of the men running to be Prime Minister once worked for me. And in that regard, my choice, without hesitation, without equivocation, without a shadow of a doubt, is Pierre Poilievre.
Would you have 2 seconds for... All right, thank you so much.
For one thing, PP won't be there. That is far-right extremists.
So may I ask, what makes Pierre Poilievre extremist?
Everything.
And what do you make of the attendance we're seeing here tonight?
It's more than I expected. I mean, I was in Edmonton yesterday, and there's 15,000 people there. So it's,
Would you say it compares?
No.
Who's ready for some pipelines to make us independent from the Americans?
Over the last 10 years, obviously, it's been a Liberal federal government.
Yes.
Do you think that Canada's gotten better or worse?
It's been a tough time for Canada. I don't think anybody would disagree with that.
It didn't get worse. It was okay. It was good.
Right now, it's not good position we are.
Yeah.
We need some improvement.
That's kind of a loaded question. So better or worse is subjective to what people are looking for.
A couple of years, I'm not happy with it.
How come?
Well, some of their policies, they didn't go well with my thought process.
Okay, like which ones?
Well, they were too extreme on few things.
Okay.
I don't want to elaborate too much into that.
There's nothing that equates being conservative with being conservative with funds, with government funds or with the people's money.
Well, on that front, in the last couple of years, our debt has doubled since the Liberal leadership took office.
Right.
Do you think that over the last 10 years, Canada's gone in a positive or negative trajectory?
That isn't the issue. The issue was we went through COVID.
It's a hard one. Better, from my perspective now, but there are issues. There are issues with unemployment, there are issues on drugs. Those are big issues, and big issues of not being able to move from one part of the country to another with all the barriers. That is a big issue.
There will be change. There will be a new leader, Rashi. So
What, real
there will
change?
be there will be a real change, and that's the Liberal.
Are you sure? Because the Conservative slogan is just like Justin.
Yeah, but that's their narrative.
Just hope and trust, you know. So if you ask for us, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But the hope and trust, I place more with Carney's leadership.
You have patience. You have patience. That's good. That's good.
You said that he's going to distinguish himself from Trudeau. Do you think being part of the Liberal Party itself is going to be a roadblock to change?
I think, like, at least they're better than the other options.
You'll campaign in a coming federal election, most likely within the next 120 days, and are serving as Prime Minister now, with Canadians not being aware of what potential conflicts of interest you
What
sought to
possible
avoid.
conflict would you have, Stephanie? Stephanie, I'm complying with the rules. I'm complying with the rules in advance. Point final.
Are you saying you are not opposed to any conflict of interest?
Yes.
You spend most of your time life in the private sector. There's no possible conflict of interest in your assets. It's very difficult to believe.
Look inside yourself, Rosemary.
Mark Carney, why should Canadians trust that you don't have any financial conflicts? Why should they blindly trust you? Do you think that there's anything fishy about his finances?
Our priorities are different. Maybe that is a priority for somebody else. But for us, that is not a priority because he is not a politician. He was a banker all the while, so we expect him.
Are you concerned about that?
No, all politicians do that. He did it when he had to. I don't. Why would we worry about it?
As a European, you know, as a
European, I am a European actually.
Oh, you are?
Yeah,
Oh.
Irish citizen. Yeah. So
Well,
there you
welcome.
go.
Welcome.
Speaking as a European,
Do you think those two things are in conflict where he might be supporting international investments as opposed to Canadian best interest ones?
I don't think so. I mean, we have to give the guy a chance.
It won't get into the way, but it will help make decisions.
Going to a central banker for political advice is never a good idea.
Come on. We cannot expect everything. There are only two political parties, right? I have to choose between one. So I have to cover my nose somewhere.
Carney, he's suggested that we need a revolution with our economy to get away from Trump. Do you think that's a bit extreme as well?
That's going to be a necessity. We got too dependent on U.S. for our trade, and it's life. It's going to be painful.
President Trump's trade war has literally ruptured the global economy. And their system of global trade that was anchored on the United States, but a system that's had helped deliver prosperity to our country for decades, I'm afraid, is over.
They can also campaign on Trump as a byproduct of Trump's tariff threats. Do you think that the Liberal Party might have an inclination to fuel that tariff war?
No, I don't think so.
we need an energy transformation on the scale of the Industrial Revolution at the speed of the digital transformation, and therefore we need a revolution in finance. I mean, just to be clear, we need to change mainstream finance.
Do you think that getting away from the United States is going to mean that we have to get closer to China?
No. No, going from one bed to another bed is not the answer. Never put all your eggs in one basket.
Richmond, Greater Vancouver, as gateways to the world, strong ties to Asia, you will play central roles in building the strongest economy in the G7. In the wake of what the U.S. is doing to trade, we are ready to build a coalition of like-minded countries who share our values.
They're asking for QR codes and emails and identification here. I was at Pierre Poilievre's event in Edmonton last night, and there was none of that. So I said, well, I guess if you can't make room for one individual that drove from Sylvan Lake to hear what this man has to say, I guess that tells me who I'm going to vote for.
We're facing fire capacity issues. If you didn't register, that's it. We have same with RSVPs. We can only do RSVPs.
Thank you guys. Ready to go?
I think the housing issue is a big deal here, and I haven't seen anything
that Daniel Smith has done.
It is great to see that our builders are outperforming the rest of Canada. In fact, we just hit an all-time record for housing starts.
Carney's going to build them using this modular system. I think he's going to use the armed forces partly, but we have a history of this. The armed forces came forward, presented the model, and now we're going to follow that model, and it's going to work. And it's going to work for Alberta. It's going to put everyone to work, and Poilievre has no idea.
Prefabricated and modular housing are the future. And that's why my government will provide $25 billion, I'll repeat, $25 billion in financing to scale the industry up massively.
Remember, 11% of emissions last year were from deforestation itself. 11% of total emissions, just cutting down. We need to slow, stop, reverse that.
How did we end up in a housing crisis?
Well, we don't build enough houses and we let in too many immigrants.
The Liberals proposed a policy to increase Canada's population to 100 million. Do you think that's going to be a roadblock when it comes to the housing costs?
That sounds like a conspiracy theory to me, 100 million. You know what? We're still a small country, 40 some odd million. We have so much land here. So I think there has to be a progressive program based on the point system that they use, with bringing immigrants, new people to Canada. And if they do that and fill the jobs as needed and bring in the skills workers as needed, then yes, then whatever that takes.
Do you think that's the right way to go?
If we're going to protect ourselves from the United States, China, and Russia, probably, what's kept the economy going in the last few years has been immigration. It has provided a lot of work and a lot of that, but it's also brought in a lot of problems with housing. It's kind of like having a problem that isn't a problem in some ways, because yes, it's a problem that we don't have enough housing, but but it would be a bigger problem if we just didn't have enough people. And if we didn't have enough people, we wouldn't have a housing problem. But then we wouldn't have enough workers, and we wouldn't have enough people to basically keep the country going.
He has also promised to, accommodate all the people with the biggest housing plan since World War II. He's promised
for all the immigrants, right?
I suppose so.
So you told us you were inside and you got kicked out.
Yeah, I was about maybe 10 feet away from the stage behind the barrier. Someone in the Liberal officialdom recognized me, and the security guard came up and said, "You have to leave." Police then said, I have my thing, I have my green tag on. Police then said, "They've asked you to leave. If you don't leave, you'll be arrested." I didn't do a damn thing.
Well, what was the reason?
Just they don't want me there.
Yeah, and you said
I asked Trudeau that question back at the university 7 years ago. They didn't like that. We need a pipeline west to east. He has said absolutely nothing. He will say absolutely nothing. Maybe yell at a question about pipelines at the end, and that's so bad that disrupts the gala, the false reality that they have in that room right now, that they actually think they're helping Alberta.
Being low carbon is going to be a determinant of whether we can create jobs, whether we can sell our products in the United States. When's the last time the premiers agreed on anything? Except that they hate the federal government, which is okay.
Why do you think he's going to be good for Alberta?
What's good for Canada is good for Alberta.
Since Alberta is still part of Canada, and we hope it stays that way, absolutely he will. It'll be part of Canada, and all the decisions are going to be made on the perspective of Canada.
I have heard that he's talking about doing a corridor, energy corridor, and that's probably a lot of people in this province would like. I have a problem with some of that because what do we do with our global warming stuff?
I think if you get somebody that's coming from that isn't so popular in Alberta, it's actually a good thing. Because when you have somebody that's got all the support in the world, they ignore that area.
And do you think that Mark Carney is going to do anything good for Alberta?
No. I mean, it's, meet the new boss, same as the old boss, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, it's like the Liberal apparatus is a giant machine, and there's no changes other than maybe one person at the top, but everybody else behind the scene is the same players, and I can't see him doing anything significant for Alberta.
Right now, the event inside has already begun. You can see Mark Carney speaking. But as you can see, despite some people having lined up for over 2 hours, because of whatever the situation is here with the venue and the limitations, as it seems it's almost a 900 capacity facility, all of these people have been left out in the cold.
And I also want to thank those who are watching on a screen outside.
I admit it. That's a tough.
There's a genocide happening in Palestine.
Thank you. Thank you, Diana. I'm aware, which is why we have an arms embargo.
Is the liberal kicked the lady out because she's wearing a Palestinian kufiyya? You need to answer and you have the courage to answer. Free, free, free Palestine!
I'm trying to
Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free the hostages! Free, free, free Palestine! Liberation! Down with occupation! Down with occupation!
Build Canada strong. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.
We've now been waiting over 10 minutes for Mark Carney to leave the venue. As you can see, there are two groups here.
I think he will not leave before we leave, but we are not going to leave. That's why pushback.
When we're shouting about a modern day Holocaust happening, don't shout over us. Just don't shout over us. The other day, Israel executed 15 aid workers.
You're not a human. You're a vampire like them. Shut up. Shut up. You're a genocide. You're a genocide. Shut up your fucking mouth. You understand? Shut up your fucking mouth.
Yeah, he got decoyed. Yeah. Guys, Angelica, he got decoyed.
I think he left, guys, not because of you, because of us. He doesn't.
Yeah, he just got decoyed. Or he's still in there.
The bus everybody was expecting Mark Carney to get on is now leaving. So there's maybe 100 or so people here that were Mark Carney supporters that couldn't even get into the venue. And they decided that they were going to wait outside the venue to say hi to Mark Carney as he left. And Mark Carney decided to run away. He used a different exit. And, we kind of expected it, but I'm very surprised that he left all of his Calgary supporters here out to dry. Campaign2025.com is where you have to go if you want to support Rebel News. Unlike the mainstream media who came all together on a bus, we are because of you. Because of your donations, we survive, and we're out here at these events telling you the other side of the story.